ever did. Yesterday, our neighbor came to our door and complained again about our kids being loud. Not too loud, just loud. At the park, again about our kids being loud. Not too loud, just loud. At the park, per the other neighbors who lived across the street from said park. Then he lectured me about my logic of moving to a quiet area with loud kids. If that wasn't bad enough, he suggested that my wife and I look at homes by the ocean because you don't have neighbors to the west of you. Houses by the ocean are like millions of dollars, lol. I asked him how I would do that, and he said that wasn't his problem. So I told him that he should move out of their house and move to the ocean where he won't have neighbors. I caught some flack for being rude to an older person, but I don't think I was. OP, you are absolutely the butthole. Most people down in the comments say that everyone sucks here, but I actually disagree. I think it's just you who's the butthole. So let's recap, shall we? First of all, you moved into a neighborhood that you said yourself is basically filled entirely with retirees, and then get upset when old people do old people things? Also, if multiple neighbors are reporting that your kids are too loud, then they're not the problem. You and your bad parenting skills are the problem. And I'm gonna be honest, you got this kind of like judgy personality throughout the post that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like, what's wrong with having a Ring doorbell? How does that make anyone a snitch? I've got a Ring doorbell because I work in the basement and it's really hard to hear the doorbell from the basement, so that allows me to link it up to my Google device. Also, I can see when a package gets delivered so I can go grab it before some porch pirate takes it. And so what if they bought the house for $40,000 in the 80s? Does that mean they're not entitled to peace and quiet in their own home? I'm gonna be straight with you, OP. I kinda get the vibe that you're an entitled parent. It's always the other person's fault. It's never your fault or the fault of your precious little babies. Am I the butthole for saying my babysitting rates are $35 an hour? I'm a software engineer with a full-time job and a side hustle doing freelance coding work in my own time. I've always been the type to have a side hustle I put a lot of free time into. I get really bored sitting idle. My freelance hourly rates are $60 an hour, and at my full-time job, my hourly pay works out to about $40 an hour, so that's how I value my time. Anyway, over Christmas vacation, I was staying at my parents' house. My cousin was also staying over with her 3 young kids from Christmas to New Year's. I'd been planning on doing some work on my freelance projects when I had free time, in the morning when my family had no plans. I wasn't in any rush. I was already ahead of schedule on them all, but I didn't really have anything else to do. It was in a really rural area, and it's like an hour drive to the nearest anything. Then, my cousin and her husband asked if I could babysit all day for 3 kids, so they could visit some friends in the area and hang out with just adults. I said I'd planned on doing freelance work at the library, and she offered to pay me to babysit. I said I could if they got close to my freelance rates. She wanted a number, and although my freelance rates are $60, I didn't feel like that was right. It was high. But I didn't want to go too low. Honestly, babysitting 3 kids would be harder for me than the routine coding work I had for my freelance project. I don't know a lot about kids, and I've never babysat for long, and I had a feeling it would be stressful and difficult. So I said $35, which is below what I make hourly at work and what is the bare minimum I'd value my time for if that time is spent doing difficult work. And she went crazy at me, saying that's a ridiculous rate for babysitting, that I was entitled and being selfish, that I'm trying to take advantage of how she didn't have other options, etc. I said that's way below what I'd be making if I had the time to do my own work, and I'd be putting off my own work to babysit. Her husband then got mad at me, saying that I was a 24-year-old girl, that I'm nearly a child myself, that my time is not worth that much, and it's childish to say that it was, and that I was a stupid girl for not knowing that babysitting costs like $15 an hour. When I grow up and have kids of my own, I'll see how stupid I was being. I was kind of done with being called stupid, so I just told them I hoped they could find someone else. My mom thinks that I asked for something offensive, and my cousin and her husband obviously did too. Am I the butthole for giving that number? So let's use an analogy to break down how much you are not the butthole here. Let's suppose that you brought your good friend Elon Musk with you to your parents' house. Elon Musk had a very important business meeting to go to. And then, after you turned them down, your cousin asked Elon Musk, "Hey, could you babysit my kids for $15 an hour? That's the going rate for babysitters." And Elon Musk says, No, I was gonna go to a meeting and probably make like $5 million because that's how much my time's worth. It's real simple. If you wanna hire a babysitter, hire a babysitter. But if you wanna hire a babysitter, don't hire a freaking coder. Will I be the butthole if I posted a video montage online of my neighbor throwing things in my yard? My mom and I bought a duplex for me to live in and manage during my years in college. Bought the house in 2018. I moved in the summer of 2019. We installed a Ring video security system along with a front yard doorbell and backyard video floodlights. When I moved in, there were a ton of branches and limbs by my neighbor's fence. That was odd since we only had one medium-sized tree nearly 10 feet from the fence. Later that summer, the backyard Ring camera caught the neighbor throwing branches over the fence. We realized that that is where the huge pile came from. Halloween came around, and my roommate and I decided to throw a party on Friday, November 1st. We tried to talk to Mrs. Stick Thrower, but they weren't home during our 3 attempts. We left a note explaining it, along with our names and numbers. The party was